Hello Mzansi, welcome back to yet another tea break. On the 19th of September 2023, Judge Wilson decided in favor of Ndlozi on the case of Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, the applicant, and Media 24/Daily Sun, the first respondent, Mapula Nkosi, a second respondent, and Amos Manayeto, a third respondent. On 11 April 2021, the third respondent, Mr. Manayeto, a journalist, received a tip-off from a confidential source within the South African Police Service. The tip-off was that the applicant, Dr. Ndlozi, had been named in a rape complaint made to SAPS on the 9th of April 2021. The source told Mr. Manayeto that in the complaint, a woman had said that Dr. Ndlozi raped her. SAPS had opened a case of rape, and the confidential source supplied Mr. Manayeto with the case number allocated to the complaint. The source also supplied Mr. Manayeto with a number of further details culled from the woman's statement that appeared in a story published in the Daily Sun later that day under Mr. Manayeto's byline. The Daily Sun is a newspaper controlled by the first respondent, Media 24. Now, the second respondent, Ms. Nkosi, was the editor of the Daily Sun at the time. Before publishing his article, Mr. Manayeto sought to confirm what the confidential source had told him with Dr. Ndlozi and the SAPS spokesperson for the Gauteng province, a Captain Makhubela. Mr. Manayeto telephoned Dr. Ndlozi at around 10:13 on 11 April 2021. Dr. Ndlozi did not answer, but the two men agreed to communicate by text. In a text message sent later that day, Mr. Manayeto outlined the tip-off he had received. He disclosed the identity of the complainant and the location and details of the assault she alleged. He asked Dr. Ndlozi for comment. The gist of Dr. Ndlozi's response was that he had not been contacted by the police, that he did not know about the complaint, but that on the details of the complaint, Mr. Manayeto relayed to him. There was no possibility that he could have been the perpetrator. Dr. Ndlozi provided an account of his movements over the period apparently covered in the complaint. He adverted to eyewitnesses and CCTV footage that he said would demonstrate that he could not have been the complainant's assailant. He expressed solidarity with the complainant and said that he hoped that her true assailant was apprehended and punished. Mr. Manayeto first contacted Captain Makhubela at 12:21 on 11 April 2021. No substantive response was forthcoming from the SAPS for the period of just under 8 hours between the first contact Mr. Manayeto had with Captain Makhubela and the point at which Mr. Manayeto's article was published online at around 8 p.m. on 11 April 2021. Just before 5 p.m., Captain Makhubela did refer Mr. Manayeto to an individual, Captain Makhubela, identified as Peters. But Peters did not respond before the Daily Sun published the article. At 11:33 on 12 April 2021, a Brigadier Peters was probably the Peters to whom Captain Makhubela had originally referred, issued a statement to the media in which he confirmed that the complaint reported in the Daily Sun online the night before had been made. But Dr. Ndlozi was not a suspect in the police investigation of it. The statement goes on to criticize Mr. Manayeto and by implication the Daily Sun and Ms. Nkosi for publishing the story without seeking comment from SAPS, and for basing the story substantially on the complainant's statement, which Brigadier Peters said could only have been obtained through unlawful and unethical means. In his first criticism, it appears that Brigadier Peters was misguided. On the papers presented to the judge, Mr. Manayeto plainly sought comment from SAPS before the Daily Sun published his story. Brigadier Peter's second criticism, however, appears to have been well-founded. On a conspectus of all the facts, the Daily Sun published its story solely on the basis of what the confidential source had relayed to Mr. Manayetso over the telephone. There has never been any suggestion that the confidential source had the right, whether legal or ethical, to disclose the information that they did. Be that as it may, the issues in this case do not turn on the morality of the confidential source's conduct or that of Mr. Manayetso and the Daily Sun in choosing to write about and publish what they were told. What is at issue in this case is whether 3 statements the Daily Sun published on the basis of the confidential source's tip-off were defamatory, and whether, if they were defamatory, the statements were nonetheless lawful because they were true, and it was for the public benefit that they be published. A subsidiary issue is whether either of these questions may appropriately be decided on motion. The judge first set out and identified the citing of the 3 statements of which Dr. Ndlozi complains. The judge then drew the following conclusions. First, that the lawfulness of publishing the statements is an issue that can properly be decided on motion. Second, that 2 out of 3 of the statements defamed Dr. Ndlozi. And third, that the 2 defamatory statements were substantially true, but their publication on the facts on this case was not for the public benefit. The judge concluded that the respondents had unlawfully defamed Dr. Ndlozi and that he is entitled to a declaration that this is so. He is also entitled to an order that the 2 defamatory statements be removed from Media 24's online media platforms. Now, with that being said, Mzansi, in clear terms, the court ordered Media 24 to remove the unlawful and defamatory statements from all its media platforms, including its website, Twitter account, and Facebook account within 1 week of the date of the order by the judge. The court also ordered Media 24 to pay the costs of the application to date, including the costs of the 2 counsels in this case. Now, Mzansi, please do check safely.org for this case. And Mzansi, please do not forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified each and every time we have more cases and more news on this channel.